Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, she's afraid of her fiancé.
Are you abusive?
Verbally, yes.
You kiss my ass!
His mean texts.
You an ugly b****. Why is this okay with you?
Because I love him.
His drinking.
He will pick up the girls from daycare.
While he's drinking. This is your daughter's little hand trying to prop your eyes open. What you two are doing is criminal. Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Well, I'm going to run some numbers by you in regards to today's guest. 2, the number of times a wedding has been called off. 3, number of times the bride-to-be has written in. 4, the number of times the future mother-in-law has told her to run for the hills. 12, the number of beers the groom drinks a night. Oh, and 60 on the weekend. 34, the number of jobs the groom's had. 500, the number of messages she said the groom has sent to the women on social media. And 1, the last hope for me to fix him so she can finally marry him. Take a look.
Dustin likes to say he drinks because I like to bitch a lot. I rarely see him sober. I know he's sober at work, but by the time I get home, he's already had 4 or 5 beers. When Dustin drinks, he gets nasty.
You 8 hours at a bar with your daughter, and you can't say I was out of work? Oh, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You kiss my ass!
He has called me fat, lazy, piece of shit. The worst thing that he's ever said to me is, I hope you get in a car wreck and die. 2 years ago, Dustin and I were in counseling. He told me that he never loved me. He only put a ring on my finger because he thought that's what he should do since I had his baby. I was hurt beyond belief. I ask myself every day, what is it gonna take for me to be done? I don't think Dustin would ever hurt my daughter, but I do know that when he is intoxicated, that I have had to stop him from trying to pick her up because of his balance. Dustin is very good with our daughter, but there are times where he has raised his voice and yelled at her.
You need to get out.
No!
You need to go, now.
Shut the door!
It terrifies me. The last thing I want to do is bash Dustin. All I want to do is help him and give our daughter the father that she deserves.
Well, you know things are bad when even your future mother-in-law tells you to run away from her own son.
My son, Dustin, is a disaster. He thinks he's more fun when he's drinking, but he becomes more obnoxious and people don't like to be around him. Dustin just admitted to us that he had started drinking at age 13. We did not know that. He did get in trouble in college for drinking, but he was away from home and we had very little control over him. We had no idea that that was going to continue as he got older. Dustin has had 2 DUIs. I'm afraid that if he gets his 3rd one, he'll either end up in jail or he'll have his license taken away for 15 years. One day, Lonnie made the comment that her and Dustin wanted to start a family. I told her, don't have a baby with him. He has too many issues and your life is not going to be an easy one. I can't say I didn't warn her. I have told her on numerous occasions to move out of the house because I don't want to see my granddaughter go through that. We've even looked for apartments. Then they get back together and everything's fine for a while. I don't understand why Lonnie stays with him. I hope that she finally sees that he's toxic.
You can't tell him to work for 30 days! You!
One day, my little granddaughter, after her daddy had a meltdown, said to Lonnie, "Daddy hurt my heart." He loves his daughter, but he loves his beer more.
Okay. Now, you guys planned on getting married twice.
Yeah, we have.
And you canceled it. Why?
He got mad at me and called it off the first time.
Okay.
No reason. He just...
And you love your son, obviously, right?
Very much.
You want nothing but the best for him.
That's right.
But you've told her you should not marry him in the state that he's in, correct?
His drinking, as you could tell, his ups are up, but his downs are terrible. And I really noticed that these last 4 days that I've been with him. You know, we've spent 4 days.
What have you noticed these last 4 days?
Just how he can be just fun, and all of a sudden that switch will flip and he just becomes belligerent and mean, and he starts texting. I know he's texted a lot of your producers.
Yeah, he's been very abusive with my staff, which is something
Yeah.
I don't put up with because I don't allow my staff to be abused the way you allow yourself to be abused. I want to look at some of the texts that he has sent you so we just understand what's going on here. This was May 17th of last year. Dustin, he says, "Hey, stupid blank bitch, what's the code?" Then September 15th of 2019, Dustin, "You take over an hour to look like blank. I don't get what you do. It doesn't look like you put any makeup on and your hair is boring. Blank do you do? Takes so long." October 19th, Dustin, "You always go to the store for 4 hours, grocery store for 4 hours. Blank you, bitch." You said, "I'm not at the grocery store. I left because you were being blank." Dustin, "You're such a liar and stupid, worthless bitch. You got cold sores all over your face, liar. I was going to grill you, stupid bitch, blank. Dumbass blank. You an ugly bitch that has herpes all over your face. You're nasty. You're 35 and you look like your mom." You're reading this from him on a regular basis. It wasn't just like he had a bad night. This is on a regular basis, and we ask you, is he being abusive with you? And you go, "Yeah, I don't know." Does that look abusive to you?
Yeah.
Why is this okay with you?
Because I love him. And I don't know why. After... He doesn't remember the next day any of it. He has no clue that he does any of this.
He's had 2 DUIs. Mm-hmm. Does he drink and drive with the children in the car?
He has. As soon as he leaves work, he grabs 2 tall boys. Mm. And usually if I'm not off work, he will pick up the girls from daycare. While
he's drinking?
I know he's not drunk, but it's still not okay.
You don't know that. First off, it's illegal.
Yes.
And you know it. It's happening, and you're allowing it to happen. I want to give you the definition of negligence with regard to child abuse. It's failing to protect a child in his or her care from inflicted physical, mental, or sexual injury caused by the acts of another. You have to keep your child out of harm's way. So that means you're a child abuser because you're failing to intervene when you know that your child is being put in harm's way. Because I'm just wanting to be real clear here.
I have tried to get the kids away. I've tried to get Lonnie out of that situation several times. She doesn't leave.
Now, coming out, Dustin admits that he drinks, but says it doesn't affect him. If that's true, it's even worse. He says he doesn't get hangovers. He goes to work, takes care of his responsibilities, and is able to drive his daughters after a beer or two. Well, we'll meet him next.
Music, the one dissolved. Ready,
44.
Rule 44, dissolving in truck.
I'll pick up my 2 beers after work, and I'll pick up my kids. I am drinking, but I am not drunk when they're in the car. Maybe my family's part of the reason I drank. They pick me apart. I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I don't need them to intervene and try to play Dr. Phil.
And later, you're drunk texting the production assistant, "I'll make Dr. Phil and his crew look like idiots." Oh, I'm here. Go ahead.
I know.
I have a beer with him occasionally. I probably do enable him because I don't want him angry with me. So it's easier than fighting with him and him throwing a temper tantrum.
I have had a beer with him at times, but I stop at 1. He's probably had 5 or 6 at that point. So maybe I have enabled him in the past. If Dr. Phil can help Dustin stop drinking, I promise I won't drink around him again.
Lonnie emailed me multiple times, not just once, but multiple times, saying her fiance, Dustin, goes from sweet to furious in the blink of an eye, calling her stupid, worthless, ugly, and much worse. Now, his family questions why she stays. But Lonnie says Dustin acts like that because he drinks. Dustin says he drinks because he's bored to death. And he just likes to have a few beers.
I started drinking at 13. I would think my parents had to know. It was just easier for my parents not to confront it. I can't stop drinking once I've started. I gotta drink till I pass out. I bought a 30 on Friday, it was gone Saturday afternoon, and I already went back to the store to buy another 18-pack. I do way too much. Drinking and driving, I know it's not good, but I would just tell myself to the bar, it's a straight shot to my house, which doesn't make it right. I drank because I am bored. I get off work at 4. I'll pick up my 2 beers after work, and I'll pick up my kids. I am drinking, but I am not drunk when they're in the car. I still work my 40 hours a week. I still go to all the kids' functions. I just learned how to be drunk in public. Even if we go to church on Sunday, I'm already a 6-pack in. Maybe my family's part of the reason I drank. They pick me apart. My brother, he always is riding my ass. Lonnie wants me to stop. My mom, that's all she ever talks about is my drinking, and it's driving me nuts. At this point, whatever they've tried isn't working. I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I don't need them to intervene and try to play Dr. Phil. I met Lonnie 7 years ago. I probably truly never have committed to her. I'm scared to death of marriage. Lonnie deserves better. I don't show her the affection that she deserves. I haven't been sober in 22 years. I don't know what sober people do. I've thought about quitting. What am I gonna do? Everything I do revolves around drinking. I can't see myself drinking an iced tea. The reason I'm here is because I've got a 3-year-old daughter. I do not want her to have a dad that couldn't put down the bottle.
Are you an alcoholic?
Absolutely. I'm full. Yeah, I've just learned how to function with it.
Are you abusive?
Verbally, yes. When I'm getting one of my fits of rages, I say whatever I can just to hurt her.
On the 20th of May last year, you said, if I cared about you, I'd probably be nice and actually want to do things with you. I figured you already knew after 4 years. Do you even remember saying that?
No.
So at the time, you don't remember the moment, the time when you said that? That's just kind of in a drunken haze?
A lot of stuff that she tells me the next day, I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe I said that.
Dustin says his dad was tough on him growing up, but his father, Ron, says they get along fine now, even share a few beers together. Well, we're going to meet him next.
Dustin was not out of control drunk when he was living with me. Did we drink? Yes. But we got along fine. Some things I think Lonnie will go a little bit overboard with her description. Don't you think that if he would drink 40, 50 beers, he would be laid out?
And later, this is your daughter's little hand trying to prop your eyes open.
I'm a drunk. My parents' marriage was rocky. They did argue a lot. My dad was strict. We walked a straight line. He wasn't growing up. He raised his voice a lot. He was hard on the whole family. He would just scream. Even though we are buddies now, growing up, it was tough. Always walking that fine line, never knowing when there's gonna be another outburst.
Ron went through depression and anxiety, just like Dustin does now, only Dustin is worse.
Well, Dustin says he drinks more than he should, but that he has it under control. Dustin's father supports that and says that maybe Lonnie is, well, high maintenance.
Rules didn't apply to Dustin. So Dustin and I fought. Dustin does what Dustin wants. I am sure that he's driven, buzzed, and drunk, but I'm not saying drunk to passing out. Impaired, yes, but not falling down, stooped over. Marlene and I noticed there might be a problem. We questioned him on it, but that's about as far as that went. We didn't make him stay at home or ground him. He's 16, you can't tie him up and not let him go out. You know, Dustin lived with me 2 times. We'd sit out in the garage, have a few beers, we got along fine. Did we drink? Yes. But Dustin was not out of control drunk when he was living with me. Sometimes I think Lonnie will go a little bit overboard with her description. Don't you think that if he would drink 40, 50 beers, he would be laid out? How can you do that and not be 300 pounds?
Are you in denial here? Have you learned some things since you got here?
I learned a few things, yes.
Because you're saying he can't be drinking 30 beers, right? He can't be drinking 40 beers. He's telling you he is.
What I meant by that, I didn't think he would be drinking 40, 50 beers on a Saturday.
He got a 30-pack on a Friday night. It was gone Saturday afternoon. He went back and got 18 more. Now, my math is 48.
That's correct.
In a 24-hour period.
That's correct.
Here.
That's
so
right.
that's what I'm saying. Are you in denial? Because he's telling you that is true. My staff gave me an interesting list that makes me wonder where your mind is in all this. Saturday, in flight here, you had 2 beers. Then the ride from the airport to the shoot, Marlene asked for a beer for Dustin.
I said, we have a situation. Dustin would like some beer. What do we tell him? That is how I put it.
Then at lunch, you asked the segment director for a beer for Dustin. Then Sunday, you started making complaints.
Yeah, I was starting to get frustrated.
You said, this makes me look like a drunk, abusive, a horrible dad. Looks like a wife-beating drunk. Everything is being over-exaggerated. You're upset the parents are involved so much. You're 36, not 16. Your name's getting dragged through the mud. You're going to be the most hated man in America. Then Monday, you're drunk texting the production assistant saying, this is nothing but lies. The show is a joke. You've been treated like nothing other than trash. You're trapped in a little room. The worst experience of your life. I'll make Dr. Phil and his crew look like idiots.
That's not...
Well, I'm here. Go ahead.
I know.
You know, that's not your rational self talking. I hear you arguing and getting hostile in front of your daughter. I see your daughter interacting with you when you're just completely out. You've seen the picture here. This is your daughter's little hand trying to prop your eyes open. This is her daddy.
I'm a drunk.
You know, I grew up with an alcoholic father, and so I don't have to speculate what impact that has on children. And your children are young enough and resilient enough that you can do something about this right now and change the course of their life. Dustin's older brother will join this conversation when we come back.
I can hang out with you. I would love to be your brother. I know you're not proud of me. You know, I made some bad decisions, but that's for God to judge. I just want you to be my brother.
Closed captioning provided by
3, 2, 1, effects. Ready, 41. Roll 41 and track.
I don't have a relationship with my brother now, and I didn't have a relationship growing up. I would love to have someone I could call. Say, hey, bro, what's up? Let's go golfing. Let's go do something. Why can't I get into your life? You know, you have all these friends. I see you having a blast with all of them. And then I can hang out with you, and you just pick me apart. You always have had that wall up. It's like, man, I would love to be your brother. I know you're not proud of me. You know, I made some bad decisions, but that's for God to judge. I just want you to be my brother.
Well, Dustin's older brother, Brandon, says he is always worried about Dustin, and he had to take a step back because every time he tried to intervene, it turned into a fight. Now, Brandon, thank you for taking the time to talk to us here. You are concerned about your brother, correct?
Yes.
And he says that he feels judged by you when there are times that he just really needs you to just be his brother.
First off, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. I see him acting like this. Whenever I'm around him, he's drunk. He's verbally abusive. I can't remember the last time in over 20 years when I've been around him to where we've had fun. Everything is uncomfortable when I'm around him. I don't know if we're going to get into an argument. I don't know if we're going to get into a fist fight. I don't know if he's going to get in a fight with somebody else. It is impossible for me to be around him.
Do you miss your brother? Do you miss having a relationship with him?
Absolutely.
What would you like to have in terms of relationship with him? What would be a perfect scenario?
Him being sober. I have worried sick every day about him since I can remember. I never have not worried about him.
Mm-hmm. What do you hear your brother saying?
I agree with what you're saying. You know, it's always been negative, either in jail, hospital, in trouble. I don't know. I agree with what you're saying.
It's a text you sent me text like that you just say the nastiest, filthiest things on the planet to try and make me feel bad or hurt me. But then you want me to hang out with you. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Well, let me ask you a pivotal question. There's something that I think really is at the absolute core of what's going to happen with you going forward. And I'm going to ask you that question just right after the break.
And music, go 6 on.
I was in a bar fight about a year ago. I wanted one more beer. The guy wouldn't give me a beer. I wasn't taking no for an answer.
He had a concussion, brain bleed.
He got beat up bad.
Closed captioning provided by
1, up on 6, music.
Well, Lonnie and Dustin are engaged but have called off the wedding twice already. She says Dustin can be loving, but then he has a scary side.
I was in a bar fight about a year ago. I wanted one more beer. The guy wouldn't give me a beer. I wasn't taking no for an answer. Somebody at the bar said, "Why don't you get out of here?" So I threw him on the ground, and then I was just mauled. 3 or 4 bartenders just threw me into the ground.
His face was swollen. There's blood everywhere.
He went by ambulance to the hospital. He had a concussion, brain bleed.
They found that he had a broken jaw. He got beat up bad.
Stitches across my face, and I spent one night in the hospital.
Dustin was charged with disturbing the peace and jail for 2 days.
That's the last time I've ever been back to that bar, and that was my local bar, 6 blocks from my house.
Well, I've added Mike Baer to the conversation here. Mike is a life coach. He's CEO of Cast Centers, and Coach Mike focuses on helping his clients break free of destructive patterns that aren't yielding results that they want. His New York Times best-selling book is called Best Self, Be You, Only Better. And I said I had a pivotal question that determines whether you go over the cliff or whether you start climbing out of this quagmire here. And I know you've had to think about this before, but what is it that you are so angry about? What are you punishing yourself for so much?
My life choices, where I'm at today. I'm not happy with where I'm at. Now I just gave up.
So you've just checked out?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said. You're either going to go over this cliff or you're going to turn this around and do something about it. And you say you're reading Best Self, right?
I am, yeah.
Did you just read the flap?
Books are like workout equipment. They're not going to do it themselves, right? Where are you at in the book?
I'm on the 5 characters. I think I'm on honesty.
You're on honesty right now, so you're at the very beginning, pretty much.
Yeah, I guess I didn't get too far into it.
So listen, I'm a recovering alcoholic, drug addict. I'll have 18 years in May, okay? So I'm very familiar. I have worked with alcoholics. Thank you. But I don't totally believe you sitting up here. And I'll tell you why. Okay. I feel like you're so agreeable. You're so much about, I don't know why, poor me. And I don't totally buy it. The text you're saying to producers ahead of time because you're unhappy, right? And so something isn't quite connecting for me, but I do want to ask you a question. How do you think your 3-year-old is viewing you right now?
My dad's a drunk.
And what's she going to think of you?
I'm a bad mom.
Need to get this figured out, you know?
So why do you think you're not figuring it out?
I don't.
I'll tell you why.
I know.
Because you don't want it that bad.
That could very well be.
You don't want it that bad. You're not willing to put her life ahead of your life right now. Because Dr. Phil, what doesn't make sense to me is how he talks to your producers. Then we come up on stage to talk and have a conversation. He's the most agreeable, I don't know why. But then when he's not here, he's sending text messages. And even if you're blackout drunk, they're still on your phone the next day, unless you're a blackout texter and you're deleting, which I've never met one of those, okay? So you know what you're doing.
Right. It's hard for me to talk when I'm sober. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how to communicate sober.
Everything that you do in your life, you half measure. You don't fully commit to anything. You've had 35 jobs, right? You're half measuring being a parent. You're half measuring your recovery. And you're half measuring reading Best Self.
Everything's half. I don't go all in on nothing.
Dustin says that he doesn't want his daughter to grow up with a drunk father. So what are they willing to do? We're going to find out after the break because I've got some very specific challenges for both of them. We'll be right back.
Music going is on. 6
Coming into 6.
Shot with music and applause.
Coming into 6, 6 shot.
4, 3, applause. 2, 1, up on 6 music.
Well, Lonnie says her fiance, Dustin, is an alcoholic, calls her horrible names, and even threatens her in front of her children. She says she saw red flags within the first few months of their dating and decided to stay because she says, well, she's a fixer. The problem is, it doesn't work out that way, does it?
No.
Because you can't fix somebody else, particularly when you're broken yourself. And until you require more of him, he's not ever going to treat you with dignity and respect because you're not treating yourself with dignity and respect. You weren't out here when we talked about this, but what you two are doing is criminal. And I don't mean that in a figurative sense. I mean when you are allowing him to pick your daughters up with open containers in the car, whether he thinks he's drunk or whether he's not, that is criminal. I am a mandated reporter, and we're either going to come up with a plan to change this, or I have a duty to report this before dark today. Look, you're an alcoholic, and I think along with that, you have some serious anger issues. You're going to have to deal with that, and you can do that one time right. And I asked somebody to come here today. Joining us is Marcia Stone. She is founder and CEO of BRC Recovery Treatment Center. Now, BRC is a nationally recognized substance abuse treatment center that's in Austin, Texas. They're gender specific. They have individualized treatment programs that help men and women recover from alcoholism and addiction. They've been doing this for almost 15 years now. And BRC and its family of programs provide excellent rehabilitative care and is considered one of the leaders in the treatment industry across the nation. But you're going to have to show me you're serious. I want to see you do 30 meetings in 30 days with AA to make a commitment, and if you're willing to do that, then I am willing to arrange for you to go with these folks and do what needs to be done. Now, Mike, you've made arrangements to support that if he's willing to do that.
I arranged an hour ago. I was on the phone with a great group of guys. You're going to be going to meetings. They're going to be in connection with me, and we'll talk to BRC. Okay. For you, Lonnie, we're going to set you up with a coach who gets on phone calls, accountability, and just like Dustin's doing, you're going to have a plan, and you're going to be held accountable because you need to change too. So we're going to do it together.
Okay. Now, do you support this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do you support this?
Yes.
I mean, this is the time to turn this around, and you can help in this situation, right?
Absolutely. You know, BRC, as you said, is a gender-specific and a long-term program down in Austin, Texas, with a lot of accountability. As you said, we're going to have to deal with his anger. We're going to have to do a full round of assessments to figure out, you know, is there some type of underlying dual diagnosis, and just really help Dustin to keep on with the momentum that you're going to start at home, and we'll help you to finish strong and really reclaim your life. That's the goal.
Thank you.
All right, deal?
Thank you very much.
Okay, we got a plan? All right, fair enough. All right, we've got to stop. Coming up, last year we met Tracy, who was sandwiched between caring for her elderly mother, her job, and family. You won't believe how life has changed for her with just a little help. We're going to talk about that next. Closed captioning provided by... Now, my next guest, Tracy, was here last year with the dilemma millions of Americans face. She's part of what is referred to as the sandwich generation, raising a family, working, and caring for an elderly parent. That's why they call it sandwich generation. She's having to manage up and down. Now, Tracy's 88-year-old mom lives with a family and has dementia. Now, Tracy said she needed help, and she needed it immediately. Take a look.
My mother has dementia. It's been very hard to watch my mother go from this strong, spirited woman to what she is now, which is blank.
Tracy, your mom has been living with you for 10 years, right?
Yes.
What would make life easier for you?
I want to keep her home with me.
Lakeland, do you have any advice for Tracy on where she can find support?
Tracy, I work at Home Instead Senior Care, and we provide services to help our aging individuals stay in place, age at home, and in this case, your home.
Home Instead sounds exactly like a service that your family could benefit from.
It would take so much stress off of me and my husband to know that my mother's needs were being taken care of, and then I could take care of my family, my business, and everything else I've got going.
Well, Tracy said caring for her mom was taking a toll on her. So we called in backup, and Home Instead Senior Care gifted her 6 months of help. And today things are a lot different for Tracy and her mom. We like to do follow-ups and let you know what people do when we offer them resources. Take a look.
After my appearance on Dr. Phil, we got our Home Instead caregiver. I feel like we've got a new family member in our home.
Hello, dear.
When her caregiver comes in the room, she lights up. Home Instead has created this daily routine for my mother. She has become livelier and more energetic.
My husband was in the Navy, and he was gone half the time.
She likes to be part of the conversation. It's a totally different person. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and now she's happier, I'm happier, the whole family's happier. It's a win-win. You're doing good.
All righty.
Well, Tracy is back with Lakeland Hogan. She's the gerontologist from Home Instead Senior Care. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I said, we like to follow up and see how things work out with people, and it looks like things have definitely improved with your entire family with the help that you've gotten from Home Instead. So what's the biggest change for you?
Well, Dr. Phil, because my mother's been cared for so well, I've been able to study and go get my real estate license.
Really?
And that has let me expand my designer consignment business. I will tell you, Home Instead has really been a lifesaver.
Well, that's great. And what changes have you noticed in your mom?
You know, our caregiver has been so energetic and caring, and she really does care about my mother, and that's really important to me. She takes her out daily for, like, to the senior center or walks or to church. I know her memory is not going to improve, but she's so much more active and lively, and it's like her personality's back.
Lakeland, the stress Tracy was under before Home Instead stepped in is pretty common for this sandwich generation, right?
Absolutely. The stress of being a caregiver in the home can really impact all aspects of life. It can really throw off your work and family balance. And we know that caregiving disproportionately impacts women, those balancing a career and family in addition to their caregiving responsibilities.
Yeah. And while caregivers like Tracy struggle with what's best for their loved ones, what do you find that seniors themselves want?
Studies consistently show 90% of older adults want to remain in their homes. But that can be a challenge for people, especially those like Tracy who have a loved one with dementia. Can really add an extra layer of complexity to the situation. But at Home Instead Senior Care, we have services in the home that can help older adults stay independent and also give peace of mind to the families. So our services range from personal care to hospice support, even specialized Alzheimer's and dementia care. We also have great free resources for family caregivers like education and support.
Yeah. So would you recommend Home Instead to others struggling with the decision on how best to care for their aging parents?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I would. It's just been so amazing for our family, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for that experience, for caring for my mom and the relief that it's given to my family and to me.
It's our honor.
And what a gift you're giving her instead of her spending this time in an unfamiliar environment, which is, you know, sometimes you just have no choice, but what a gift that is to do, which is why I think this is such a great, great resource. Look, if you or someone you know is caring for a senior at home and is looking for help, Home Instead is here for you. Tracy said it was a lifesaver for her, so it may be for you as well. And if you want more information, just go to homeinstead.com for all the details. And Tracy, we have another gift for you, right?
Yes, Tracy, another gift for you. We know how important it is for caregivers to take care of themselves. So at Home Instead, we're setting you up with a $1,000 spa package when you get back home.
Thank you.
All right. Just good all the way around.
Love it.
All right, look, I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Lakeland Hogan and Home Instead Senior Care, and a special thanks to Marcia Stone and BRC Recovery Treatment Center, and a special thanks to Coach Mike Baer as well for what he did in helping. And before I go, I wanted to share a tweet I recently received from Tara. She wrote, "I never thought I would see a shrine to Dr. Phil in middle school girls' bathroom, but here we are." Oh my God. Hey, listen, I'll take fans at any age, so that's a good thing. I'm glad to see it. I love reading all your tweets and comments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so keep them coming. I'll see you next time. So glad